Did you guys want a salad at all, or?
No.
Well, he'll take one.
He wants a salad. Bob, you okay?
I don't.
I'm a salad maniac. Salt.
It is your Pratte Pack, the original. You know, we do this thing, the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday Show, pick our weekly winners against the spread with the man, the myth, the legend, Ted Arnaud, who made that brand at Mountaineer Racetrack Casino and Gaming Resort. But the truth of the matter, long before Ted hit the center stage and that spotlight on KDKA, Superfly, right here, Floyd Piniella, he's the brand, he's made it really what it is today, larger than life. So we're gonna take a stroll down memory lane, talk a little football, talk a little food, and I want to thank his familiar Dave for some homemade wine that is second to none. Mr. Casoli is here, a legend in Aliquippa. His significant other is filming this video. We will give her love before this little video is over, but we are at the club at Shadow Lakes where you just saw moments ago. They feasted on some really good food, and if anybody knows food, these guys know food, and both of them have said 5 stars. Roberto, one of the best chefs anywhere in this region. Jimmy Maggs, of course. The golf course getting ready to swing away for another season, so you want to book your outing, you're going to want to do that now. But if you're planning another wedding, you got anything cooking, you need a banquet room, they've got all of that too. But this place, Maggs Restaurant, the food is absolutely incredible. But, you know, something else Jimmy Maggs, your cousin, is famous for is bowling. Baden lanes, center lanes, and you just said something tonight to your coom over here that I never knew, and I've known you forever. You used to go bowling? You were in a bowling league too?
I still bowl.
Do you?
Yeah. And I have a little story about that.
Please tell me.
Sheffield Lanes.
Oh, the legendary Sheffield Lanes.
Sheffield Lanes. Can I tell a story really quickly?
Go right ahead. Do whatever you want.
Eddie Canning, a good buddy that we graduated together. He would call me every Thursday. I bowled Wednesday night for 3 years. Professor,
Okay.
you're going to bowl a 300. I said, Eddie, I'll never bowl a 300. So Eddie had diabetes.
Right.
He ends up passing away.
Oh.
And that was when all that other stuff was going on, and I was bowling, and I told Fats, we made the playoffs, and I said, Fats, I don't want to bowl Matt, you know, I got all this stuff on my mind, Eddie passing away and some other stuff.
Right.
So he says, no, you got a better average. So like I said, Eddie kept bowling me, calling me, bowl, hey, bowl, 300. So anyway, the first game, I bowled 240. So we're still down about 90 sticks. Well, in the roll-offs, this was a roll-off championship round, we go to lane 12 and 13. You change lanes every game. Second game, I threw the first 3. Anyway, make a long story short, I end up bowling a 300. Okay, I bowl 300. Okay, so the newspaper guy, I don't know what his name is now, but he interviewed me, and he said to me, he said, tell me what, like, you know, got you through it. And I said, well, in the last 3 strikes, I thought about Andy Burnett, who bowled on our team, and he was down at the Dome down there in Brady's Run. He stopped to get a drink, he passed out, he hit his head, never came out of a coma.
So that was the inspiration.
So him and then Eddie, him calling me. So I said, without those two in a third frame, I could feel their spirits and end up bowling a 300. So the guy writes in a newspaper, he says, you know, without Andy and Eddie's, you know, spirits, I wouldn't have been able to bowl 300. And the last thing he says, it still bothers me today, he says, I guess Eddie doesn't have to call you, he already knows. Wow. And that's still like, you know.
I've known you for 35 years. I never heard that story.
Well, it was 2017.
And by the way, the other thing that he loves to do, he and his brother, they pick up stray cats.
Yeah.
How many cats in your life, like the 4-legged kind? At the fruit market, it was a menagerie. There was all kinds of animals. You would be having a cup of coffee and a slice of toast, and a couple of cats would just kind of, you know, what was up with that?
Well, I don't know. I just, you know, we like animals, and, you know, I don't want to see any organism, you know, struggle. And if you come to my house right now, and you go into my bathroom.
I know.
Right behind the bathroom where the wall is.
Spider web.
There's been a spider there for 5 months. And I look at it every morning, and he's a buddy of mine. So
listen, if he would have been the emperor of Rome, it would have been like this the entire time. But before we kind of get into some football, and we're going to get Dave in here, one of the things that dear pleasures in my life is his cousin. No, but my cousin. She should be his cousin because she knows him probably better than she knows me. Amy Mock, Amy Montaigne, who works with me, who's an incredible leader. She does great work for Odyssey. I'm just so proud of her. And one of the things that she told me on my Feast of the Seven Fishes show, a lot of the things that she has learned in life is because she and her sister actually worked for you at the fruit market. And I got to be honest with you, I don't want to say they were tough, but it reminded me of watching the life story of George S. Patton. I mean, you and your brother towed the line on these young women who all have gone on, for the most part, to do incredible things. So when they worked at Pinellas Fruit Market, and Amy and her sister both have turned out to be incredible human beings.
Yeah, we had a lot of feedback, David and I. In fact, Stephanie, you probably met Stephanie. She was like one of the...
I remember.
And she went on to Duquesne and got a 4.0. And she works for Carlyle Group,
right,
the biggest real estate company in the world. She's one of like the assistant vice presidents or one. Yeah, she's like doing really well.
Well, that Amy's doing really well too.
No, they're all. I'll tell you what. A lot of those girls came out of Black Hawk High School, and that's where I am now teaching. You know, as a sub every day. And I'm gonna tell you what. When somebody says the kids are this or that, no.
Now you know what just happened. Everybody was watching this. They went, did he just say he was teaching? But you are doing great. Speaking of teaching, I ran into Dave Halama earlier tonight at Mass. Mary Queen of Saints in Monaca, part of the consolidation. His father, Nick, who was one of the first persons to befriend me years ago when I went to Monaca, taught shop at Aliquippa. We used to spend time at the Monaca Cornet Band Room. Absolutely love Mr. Halama. Sadly, Mike is no longer here. But just talked about teaching at Aliquippa. That's one of the things that I always found fascinating about you. And you've been retired since 2010, but you put over 30 years in there. What a good time, and one of the reasons why he is probably the #1 Aliquippa fan that I will ever meet in my life. But what was it like teaching there, David?
It was a great experience. I mean, I knew from the start that that's what I wanted to do, and was lucky enough to end up in the school I graduated from. And over those 35 years, got to teach kids of kids of kids that I had, you know, so made a lot of personal relationships. To this day, you know, when I go places, we went to the Quip game last night, and somebody in front of me went, "Mr. Casoli?" And I said, "Yeah, do you remember me?" I said, "I remember your face, honey, but I'm getting old," you know, she told me. But I do remember a lot of the kids.
Well, let me
but
tell
it was
you,
just, it was wonderful. I mean, I wouldn't have changed it, yeah, for anything.
Let me tell you, Mr. Warfield, who I've interviewed many times, the head coach of Aliquippa, we were talking earlier tonight, and here's what he had to say about you. He was a fine young man in high school, and he's turned out to be a fine, older young man in real life,
yeah,
as far as a husband, a football coach.
Absolutely.
Years on the state police doing what he did, but you just saw that in him when he was very young.
Oh yeah, great guy. And a lot of those kids, a lot of those guys that are on the coaching staff, Greg Gill and J.R. Gilliam and, you know, Pete Short, of course.
Yeah.
You know, all are products of, you know, I tell Regina all the time, you know, see that guy? That old guy over there? Yeah, I had him in school. See that guy?
Yeah, Coach Patrick too?
Yeah,
Did you?
sure.
Wow.
Sure.
So I got to ask you, what do you make of this whole bumping them up to 5A? It kind of frustrates me. This is me.
Yeah.
I don't know how you feel, but I'm going to ask you.
Yeah, makes me mad, you know, because it's the small schools. I was telling somebody the other day that if you're a 6A school, you can't be punished.
No.
Because where are you going to go?
Where are you going to go?
If you're a true 5A school, you could be punished once. If you're a true 4A school, you could be punished twice. But if you're a class AA school, which we are,
Tell them how many times.
yeah, I mean, and my philosophy is, I mean, if I could run things, I would say 2 times you can be moved up with their competitive balance formula, whatever it's called, above your classification, and that's it.
No
Enough
more.
is enough. Yeah, I mean, where are you going to take it? And it's just, you know, it's just not fair.
It isn't fair. Speaking of Aliquippa, you know, every time I mention your name, people will say to me, we used to go to the fruit market, his father's fruit market. Where was this place, this Pinellas?
We just passed it.
Yeah.
You know where the Eaton Park is empty, where it's been?
Yeah.
Okay, if you go past Eaton Park and down that little hill there, and it was on the right-hand side. He also had one next to the Sons of Columbus on Franklin Avenue, way back when. That's when I was a little kid.
So, look, you can take a fruit market away from the kids, meaning he and his brother David, but you can't take it out of them. So now you're with Mr. Andrusic, that beautiful place in Beaver Super. Do you realize the Andrusic family? They could have been giant eagles. One time they had the economy supermarkets.
Right.
Joe Dentisi used to tell me the story all the time. Joe, of course, from Coons Market. And we talked all the time about the grocery industry, and a lot of it is because of this guy went into my blood, and obviously Joe was kind of like the second coming of Floyd, so I always had a chance to talk about the grocery industry. But they had warehouses. They had like 11 stores at one time. But they were the first to start that whole warehouse thing, commissary thing that now Giant Eagle has. But when you think of the grocery industry in Beaver County, Andrusic's the name that comes up, right, Floyd?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had a store, I think, in New Brighton, too.
That was the world headquarters.
Right.
Yeah. Beaver Falls, New Brighton,
Yeah.
Tuska, all of them. But you and your brother are still doing it every day, and I get people raving about all the things that you do when it comes to the meats and the specialty items and in the deli and the salads. You really just love the food business, especially produce, right?
Well, we got to go back, because in high school, okay, my sophomore year in high school, I got a job at C&L Supermarket.
Oh, Lou Bersani.
And he was a gentleman of all gentlemen. He actually paid for my master's degree.
You love this guy.
And this guy was, he wanted to send me to Michigan State for like business and this and that, but then my mother's mother died and my dad's mother, it was just, too many things going on, so I ended up going local to school. And you talk about a gentleman that was smart in business, Louis Bersani did it all. Big Christmas parties, first class, all the time, all his personnel, coats, shirts, ties, every day. And he would be in that office, I'm gonna tell you what, Rob, and if a guy came in and he told him his name, that guy, he didn't come in for 20 years and that guy came in, he still remembered his name.
You know, it's funny, when Joe and I first got to meet each other and became friends, and he ended up being like a father to me. We talked every day for 20 plus years. We're driving one day when the building was still there. And I just love talking the grocery business. Vic Lucas, who had Shop and Save, obviously the Shapiro family and Giant Eagle. I mean, I just love it, love it, love it. So I said to Joe, I said, C&L, I said, let me tell you about this Lou Bersani. He just went on this rant. He says, this place used to jump. He said, I bet you that guy was doing $500,000 a week at one time.
Well, and not only Lou, he had 3 brothers, Bob, Chuck, and Al. And it was like the cohesiveness of all these 4. Everybody had their
How
own.
big was that store?
That store was, it was bigger than Beaver Super.
Okay.
Maybe a half size bigger.
That was the store. now.
Yeah, but that was it was the, everybody went to Lou. And Lou, generous, anybody to come in, give.
Probably had credit
give.
too back then. Get things on credit.
Well, no, that was Brand Hoovers on Main Street.
Penn Super did it in Beaver.
Hey, they had the book.
I mean,
would go
in
and
Monaca-
you would take your stuff out and sign the book.
Listen, when Penn Super went out of business in Monaca, they said they found so many ledgers of people that never paid those guys. Look, I've seen Joe Dentisi do things, God rest his soul, and his daughter Jody does the same, and Frank and Patrice and Joey, the son. When it's in your business, you understand food is a necessity. And if someone's working every day to make it happen and they get a little short once in a while as far as cash flow, they're getting food. They're getting food. But anyway, speaking of food, this is the other thing that these guys used to do. We do a cooking show with Coons now. See, everything you taught me, I've turned into a career. From gambling to cooking to the produce industry. That's why I love these guys. You have no idea. They made my life so joyful. But they would have these big Super Bowl parties, and they would cook these massive amounts of food. And he would be in the background too shy. So I love you for doing this for me tonight. But you guys love to cook. And your Sundays, the game really wasn't the main event.
No, it was just a get together.
So how did that whole thing start?
Well, it was a time to be with each other, and of course, you have to eat, so the grill would get fired up. And we were eating chicken wings before chicken wings were fashionable.
No, before chickens had wings.
Right. And then we're both Italian, so there was
Yeah.
always some kind of pasta going on, or he would make a pot of soup and
Well,
salads.
he's the chef though. I mean,
I know.
Mine is just strictly wings and salads and whatever. But if it was really big, Rob, he would put his grill in his car and drive it down my house. So we had 2 grills going.
Oh my goodness. So who all came to these Sunday dinners?
Well, I mean, buddies
Whoever.
of ours. Yeah, whoever. Yeah, just like every August or October, he has the football weekend.
yeah, we still do it. We still do a thing. Guys that we went to high school with. September or October,
Yeah.
we started. Well, it's been over 20 years now, going strong. We go to a Quip game Friday night,
Nice.
Pitt game Saturday, and we used to do the Steelers on Sunday until tickets got tough to get and we got too many people. So now, on Sunday, everybody comes to my house for dinner. We drink wine and eat and laugh, and
Yeah.
But
it's
the,
great.
The food was just off the charts. I mean, so I would always make fly, and I'm going to let him tell you why we call him fly in a moment. But those who know him love him, they get it. But here's the thing. I would always say, what's on the menu? And he would say something, and if he forgot an ingredient or an item, you could hear Dave in the background, and I would just be like salivating. I mean, I was eating sawdust then. I was working so much. But you really love food, family, and it's got to have something to do with being Italian.
Well, like my mom. I mean, we'd go up Dave probably did the same. You'd go up grandma's house, and
every
went to
Sunday.
grandma's house. All the, my mother came from a family of 8, the Pascuzzi family.
Right.
They had a coal company way back when, and they lived on State Street in Baden. And we'd go down there. Captain Blazer's was the house that my grandmother lived in. She bought it. And there was a table as long as this room here, and everybody would just eat in and out, and the kids, and even up on my dad's side, we're always running around. But my grandmother, Italian, homemade ravs, homemade gnocchis, all this stuff every day. Fresh bread coming out of the oven,
Yeah.
and when that bread would come out, it'd start to cool. You could actually hear the crust crack.
Ooh, I can just smell the butter melting over that bread, baby. Listen, here's the other thing that I forgot to give you credit for. I do a gardening show too. Listen, and this incredible friend of mine, Doug Oster, who's a legend in that industry, I'm sure he wonders, where do I come up with some of this stuff? It's all because of my love for you and all of the stuff you would talk about the garden. Joe and I would have conversations about the produce yards where he went as a kid, where you were at every day, where he was making the pasta. I mean, we're all connected in one form or another, but food's the thing that brings us all together, right?
Sure.
And that Sunday dinner, back in the day, it was everything.
Well, Herm would probably attest to this. Like Sunday, my mom would cook dinner like at 4. If I was in Edinburgh all weekend, or up in Erie laying on the beach, I look at my watch. I had to be home at 4 o'clock Sunday for dinner. I don't care where I was.
No doubt about
Yeah,
it, right?
because I know, I better be home.
You had hell to pay.
Yeah, right.
Listen, I guarantee you, if you're looking for a quality meal, second to none, and I'm not just saying this because he's my dear friend, but what Mags and his family have done here is absolutely off the charts. And no matter where you're watching this on this incredible tool that's Facebook around the world or my YouTube channel, you definitely want to get down here to this incredible place. Let's talk about the history of
And
this
we
place.
would like to thank them for the great dinner that they
Yeah,
prepared for us
really
tonight.
good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the
Super.
beef melted in my mouth.
Super.
Listen, for those guys to say that, I don't need to say anything else, man. But here's the thing. This place has some history to it. The Beaver Lakes Club.
I used to caddy down here when it was
me.
Aliquippa Country Club. Well, I would do 9 holes. Clarence Nish was the former mayor of Aliquippa.
Clarence.
And I would
Former
wait.
assistant DA.
Yeah, and I would wait for him to come because I knew that he only would play 9 holes because he always got a phone call and he had to go somewhere. So I never had to do 18. I'd get paid for my 9, and then behind the caddy shack, we'd play cards in the afternoon for the rest of the
Listen,
night.
let me tell you how nice he was to me, and Ed Tosi and Teresa Dukovic, when I was covering the courthouse. Remember the whole Surratt thing was going
Oh,
down?
yeah,
sure.
That serial killer that everybody was covering.
Sure.
We were all frightened, and people were putting their dressers in front of their doors. It was just a horrible time. They were probably the best eclectic group of people in law enforcement that we have ever had. How they worked as a tandem, and Ed Tosi kind of kept it all together and kept everyone calm when that thing could have really got out of hand. You had Frank Policaro, who was an incredible sheriff at the time, and I'm this young reporter. But the thing that I'll never forget about Clarence Nish, every time I saw him, I'd go, one of these days I'm going to dress like that guy.
Yeah, oh yeah, he was dapper.
Come on
He was
now.
dapper.
Oh.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's funny, I was making my way down Broadhead the other day, and I saw his name on a road sign, obviously, where he used to live. And it took me back to just this guy walking into the room in the cologne and the starched shirt and that pinstripe suit and the cufflinks and looking at those Florsheim shoes. And Gus Guidis was probably the other guy, Judge, who was pretty close. We would have conversations about shoes. So I am a product of Beaver County, are we not?
Yeah, absolutely.
But talk about, real quick, Aliquippa, and then we're going to get to the game. Floyd Piniella, Dave Casoli, we're at Jimmy Mag's tonight. And please, your significant other who's been holding that camera for a while, her last name too, please.
Regina Stalin.
I'll tell you, you've done good. Beautiful girl. And
Thank you.
very, and she works with a veterinarian, and she likes cats.
Yes, sir.
That's why Fly likes her so much.
I know. Well, listen, my daughter Eva now has got 2, and I'm like, Eva. She goes, well, you know, Dad, and she loves these cats.
That's how many Regina has.
How many? Just say it, Regina.
10
10.
inside, 5 more out.
Inside.
So what you're telling me, if I get a little collar with a bell on it, maybe someone will actually take me home and take care of
Yeah.
me? Okay.
Yeah. But you know what though?
Huh.
When you get in the house and you got to go bathroom, if you got that bell on, you got to use the litter box.
Oh, listen, just as long as you clean that litter box, that's all I care about. But Aliquippa, in its heyday, let's kind of go back a little bit. So Franklin Avenue, in the 60s, what was it like?
Rodeo days, how fly.
Oh.
I mean, packed. You couldn't get up and down. Shift change at the mill.
Mill, yeah,
You couldn't get up and down.
No,
up and
no.
down the
But
street.
guys going into the mill, guys coming out, and you know we would walk like from Aliquippa High School all the way down to Thrift Drugstore,
to get the bus.
right next to.
Well, I lived down there.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Where'd you live at?
on Highland Avenue,
On
right
Highland
one
Avenue.
street up above.
Yeah.
Franklin.
Nice.
Yeah.
Listen, I like Dwayne Walker, and I see some good things happening in Aliquippa.
I had him in school.
Listen, him and his brother, really, soul of the earth. I
Yeah,
love them.
they are.
And you know one of the
Great guys.
best kept secrets in Beaver County that I went and hung out with Mrs. Murphy and the gang here not too long ago and her husband is the B.F. Jones Memorial Library. That's a crown jewel, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely.
That thing's gorgeous.
Absolutely.
Oh.
They've got an autobiography of Andrew Carnegie that he actually signed. I mean, this is in Aliquippa. That place that they built back then, it's still state of the art. I mean, every child, every parent, every student, every teacher should make it a point to go visit the B.F. Jones Memorial Library.
But you know, you talk about Aliquippa. I mean, all you have to say is the people. I mean, that's what makes Aliquippa Aliquippa. I told somebody one time, I said, you know, if you're in New York City walking down the street and somebody asks you where you're from, if you're from Ambridge, you say you're from Pittsburgh.
Right.
But if you ask somebody from Aliquippa where you're from, they tell you they're from Aliquippa.
Listen, let me tell you how diehard. One time I made a remark on a show, and Mike Ditka's been such a good friend. Let me tell you how much I loved him. When I came back, the second reincarnation of Rob Pratt to Monaco, I ended up going to what was then St. Titus, now part of St. Mary Queen of Saints. And I would go to the Easter Vigil for 4 hours, and I'd go on the balcony, and I'd be taking shots on my phone, and I'd be sending them to Mike Ditka. He said, I remember being an altar boy, I remember this or that. But one time on the air, I said, from Aliquippa, and this person stopped me dead in my tracks and went, I think you mean Logstown. He's from Logstown. And I'm like, where in the heck is Logstown? So you got West Aliquippa, but
Right.
where's Logstown?
Well, Logstown is that area between West Aliquippa and Aliquippa.
Yeah.
Along the highway there.
Yeah, it's across the
from mill.
highway of
Across
West
from the
Aliquippa.
mill. Yeah.
So,
And the late Mike Halama told me this story, and it's worth repeating now. So, and I've told this story many times. Elsa DeChico, God rest her soul, from Coriopolis, she was getting married, and the dad said, we're going to go to what was then St. John's Church in Monaco. I'm going to take care of the priest with a little cash, and we're going to have the first Saturday night wedding. Okay. On the way, he goes, I got to stop in West Aliquippa because I got to meet this young man who's going to be playing the music at your wedding. And that young man was a 15-year-old Henry Mancini.
oh yeah.
Lived
And
next door to my mom.
Really?
Growing up, yeah, in West. My mom's from West Aliquippa.
Mike Halama told me he got the inspiration to write Moon River while growing up.
Looking at the Ohio.
Yes, with that moon illuminating over the Ohio River.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's the reason why I still love Audrey Hepburn to this day in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Okay, before Regina's arms fall off here, let's get to the game. The 2-point underdog is Kansas City. I still find that a little hard to believe with Kelsey and Mahomes, but I understand because of Samuels. I understand because of McCaffrey. I understand because of Kittle. I understand Bosa and Young defensively and Warner. But Brock Purdy is still the final player taken in the 7th round, second year in the league. All he has to do is manage the game. But I understand why they might be a favorite, but I still can't get it out of my head a little over a week away from the game as we go to tape, that you're making Patrick Mahomes an underdog. That's going to add a little
Scary.
Yeah. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. We were talking about it earlier at my place before we came down, and I think Fly is leaning Kansas City. But you know, I said I think the defenses are kind of the same. So that
Is Kansas City's defense underrated because people just look at Mahomes, you think, all the time?
Yeah, well, little. But I think the two defenses related to each other, I think that's a push. San Francisco has so many weapons, but Patrick Mahomes, I mean,
He is a weapon.
Yeah, he's special.
He's a whole arsenal.
He's
He just
5
makes
weapons
things,
by himself.
Yeah, he just makes things happen. I mean, it's hard. Like you say, how could you make him an underdog?
You know, here's the thing, too. This Pacheco, he can run.
Yeah.
This Rice has picked up where Tyreek Hill left off, and he's a rookie. And you still have, arguably right now, and we grew up in the shadows of maybe the prototype that started the whole tight end thing, Mike Ditka. But when Gronk rewrote the book, and with Brady, we thought we'll never see the like of him again. Travis Kelce, you can say what you want, like him or not, and we're all jealous because he's dating Taylor Swift. Let's be honest now. We all want to be 30 years younger, but it ain't happening, so good luck to you, young man. We're counting on you. And she's a really special girl, and I do think it's great for everybody to see people actually love each other, okay? But he was 11 for 11 in that game against Baltimore. He just wins, and he's just deceptive. He can turn into a wide receiver. The only thing he's not really good at is blocking. And one thing that Mahomes is going to need, everybody on that line to block and to put a helmet on a helmet, because you have got this Nick Bosa, who is flat out the best defensive lineman in that game. So, and then I look at Kittle, and I think he won that game for them against Detroit with his blocking ability. I'm watching that game, guys, and I hear the announcer go, he still hasn't caught a pass yet. And I'm like, boy, that's not good. And then he's starting to pancake people.
Yeah.
So,
especially downfield.
Exactly.
You know, he made a couple great blocks downfield on some runs that McCaffrey made, and that's one of his strong points. But he can catch too. I mean, this guy's no slouch at tight end.
He isn't. Jump in here. Come on.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I just watched the first half of the Detroit game against San Francisco, and Detroit actually, to me, they manhandled them. You know, I think that they were hit the punch quicker than.
Should Campbell have not gone for it?
See, hindsight, is always.
But you got to be aggressive. You got to step on them when they're down.
But then I looked at, the third quarter coming on, and then you had a fumble, and then you had a couple interceptions. But then you had that one long pass play. It hits off the helmet. San Francisco gets the ball. They got a break. You had 3 critical third down pass plays where the ball is right there.
Game of inches.
Yeah, they dropped the ball. Yeah. So everything in the second half turned all around against Detroit. I wanted Detroit in there, and that's who I would probably want in a Super Bowl. But
this is going to be a better Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you the reason why I really want Kansas City to win.
Why?
You see how they?
Oh yeah, here we go. Because of the Steelers,
You know the coach.
Andy Reid.
Yeah, he reminds me of Mr. Casoli here.
Let's put him in the freezer and see his mustache freeze up like it did.
But no, I think
against Miami.
I think the main reason the quarterback for Kansas City's been there. He's got the edge. Purdy's going to choke. And remember when
and you heard it here.
Hey, do you remember in 2013? And what would you tell me?
Go ahead.
What did you tell me?
Remind me.
No, and that I still have the tape. It's on.
Come on, help me. Remind me.
Where he said can you say it?
Just blunt.
Yeah, but blunt. I came right out, and that's what I think the difference.
What did you say in 2013? Help me out.
When we had the thing down at the picnic, and
okay.
and I was saying something about the dental run. What's his name enough and. And this and that, they're trying to pass the ball with the Steelers. It was a Steeler game we talked
Jerome
about.
Bettis and Ben Rock.
Right.
Well, you were right then, and who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe right again. So we got to finish on this. So you're going with Kansas City?
Yes.
I'm rooting for the 49ers.
All right, you're going to find out who I'm going for a week from tomorrow on the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday Show and that noon hour. But tomorrow, Ted Arnaud and Greg Dailis, who happens to be from Vantage Management Group, His client is Travis Kelsey. He was in Baltimore with the family last weekend, but he'll be in studio with us. He was also at the East-West Shrine game. We'll have our X and O's, everything tomorrow to preview it, and we'll slam the door shut and get our picks in next week, a couple of hours before the kickoff. We got to talk about the Steelers. This is what blows my mind. Kenny Pickett is supposedly the guy. Now, I've heard everybody from Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Spencer Rattler, who threw the first touchdown pass in the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama today, young man out of South Carolina. I'm hearing Bo Nix. I'm hearing Daniels out of LSU. I'm even hearing Michael Pratt, no relation to me, no E on the end of his name, from Tulane. Do you think they're going to get a quarterback somewhere? Do they need to get a quarterback?
Well, you know, I've been a Pitt season ticket holder for
Ever?
Yeah, and this Kenny Pickett, I mean, to me was the real deal coming out.
Me too.
And you know, I think he deserves a chance to to have that job and to be that quarterback. Now whether they'll take the pressure, I don't see the Steelers going out and getting one of those big name guys.
No.
They may draft somebody, of course, and that means Trubisky's free to go, and
That's okay.
yeah, that's all right with me too. I mean, I thought Rudolph did a pretty good job
I like
stepping
Rudolph.
in. Yeah.
But I think Pickett has maybe a little edge in like throwing the ball, but I think Mason is his physical structure.
bigger,
He could take a hit.
Yeah.
Pickett. How many times did he leave the field in a year? So.
And let's be honest, and we'll close on this note. Mason Rudolph's 28 years of age. The way we grew up, that's how quarterbacks, they waited. Hanratty waited. Bradshaw didn't wait that long, but they've all waited. Even Mark Malone, who came in, they always had a little bit of time on the bench to get seasoned. And I think sometimes it's instant gratification. They rush these people, but look at Aaron Rodgers, what he was able to do. And you can say what you want about Jordan Love. Even though he didn't get to the promised land, he sure looked a lot better than a lot of people thought.
Tough.
Yeah.
Didn't he?
He really looked good. Really good.
So, Mike Tomlin, are you glad he's staying? Just say it, like I told you in 2013. Just say it.
Well, hey, I mean, he has had a winning season since he's been there. I mean,
You can't argue that.
No, you can't.
But here's what I would have done. I would have got Ben Johnson from Detroit, who says he's staying in Detroit because he likes Dan Campbell, he likes Detroit team concept. No, because none of these new coaching positions are going to any team they have no quarterback, none of them. Washington, Seattle, Carolina, Bryce Young, who knows what's going to happen there. But if you would have told him, like Mayo got the deal with Belichick in New England with Mr. Kraft, you stay here, Mike goes in 3 years, it's your job, if you want it or not, because I think he is the brightest bulb in the room. Guys, thank you. Regina, thank you. He'll pay for your surgery for the carpal tunnel. Anyway, Dave, you're the best. I love you, my brother.
Good seeing you.
I love you,
Hey,
my
Rob,
brother. Say hi to Amy.
Hi, Amy.
It's your Pratte Pack. Jimmy Maganello's, Jimmy Mag's Restaurant, the club at Shadow Lakes. Best public golf course anywhere. Incredible food. And if you're entertaining, this is the place to be. And if you're celebrating with familia, you got a big bash planned, get a hold of them. You won't regret it. See you in just a couple of hours on the radio after CBS Radio News at 5 a.m. KDKA, 100.1 FM, AM 1020. That's a wrap from the club at Shadow Lakes.
See,